Hello. Welcome to my human design channel. My name is Juji and this is HD by Z. If you're new here, this is a space where we talk about celebrities, mostly through their charts, analyzing their relationships, and talking about what we can learn from their behavior as seen through the human design lens. Today I'm really excited because I'm going to be doing a deep dive on Jennifer Lopez. We'll look a little bit at Ben Affleck's chart too. And if you've been following this channel for a while, you'll probably remember that they were one of the first couples I ever analyzed, asking the question, are they going to make it work this time around? Because as we know, they dated about 20 years ago, were even engaged for a short time, and then they broke up and got back together, got married pretty quickly, and their chart analysis revealed a lot of why the breakup might have happened, as well as why I believe that they are actually a really good match. And so when JLo's new movie came out, I was really excited to watch it, not just because I love visual effects, but because I knew that it was about her relationships, and I loved it. I think that there might be some people out there who find it confusing. And so I really wanted to do a deep dive on her so that I can analyze what she's actually trying to teach us. Because to be sure, she is trying to teach us something as a role model. And another reason why I related so much to the movie itself is because JLo is a 6'2", I am as well. She's a sacral authority, me too. And she's a manifesting generator because of the same channel as me, the 2145. Now we have a lot of things in common, but we have a lot of differentiation as well. So I'm going to mostly focus on her and what I feel this film was really trying to communicate. But before we get into all of that, I just want to remind you all that all of my information will be in the show notes below to work with me. I just released the dates for my upcoming retreat called Sisterhood of the Rose Retreat, which will be in Mount Shasta, July 12th through 15th. We do human design, we do crystal grids, we do sound healing, we do EFT, and so much more. It was such an incredible bonding experience. It was really healing for everybody involved. I hope you'll join me, so check that out in the link below, as well as my website where you'll see that I do readings and coaching, both for individuals and couples. I do speaking. I'm doing a little speaking tour, as a matter of fact, this year. Just got back from Seattle, which was an awesome experience. So much fun, had so much fun meeting people there. And I also run an online community called The Beehive, which is for conscious women, and we discuss human design, but other healing modalities as well. We have a group chat going all day long. It's really, really fun. And we have a weekly Zoom call where you can ask me questions, where we share a lot of our stories and information. It's just a really incredible place to decondition. Okay, so let's get into JLo and Ben. All right, so this is Jennifer Lopez, like I said, manifesting generator, sacral, split definition, 6'2" on the left angle cross of distraction. And my first thought when I was watching this movie is all about the fact that Jennifer Lopez has a really wide split, right? So when you're a split definition, it means two areas of the chart are not connected to each other. And in her case, it takes quite a few gates to connect those two parts. And one of the cornerstones of being split is that you're constantly looking for somebody else to try and complete your process. And a lot of the times that looks like looking for romance, looking for a love interest or a partner. And in her case, she also has an open G center, which is associated with identity, love, and direction. And so, of course, because she's split through her G center and her G center is open, her biggest dilemma is how to get her life together through finding love, identity, and direction. Seems pretty straightforward, right? Well, there's a lot of other things that I want to talk about in this video, but for the most part, I think this is it. This is her biggest dilemma, And the whole movie starts with her initial heartbreak, which she basically says was Ben Affleck. And that was around her Saturn return time, which, if you know the sixth line profile, is all about this really tumultuous Saturn return around 30. So I guess her and Ben weren't quite aligned and weren't quite ready to make that lifelong commitment. And the movie starts with her heartbreaking and her having to revive herself. And then it shows her subsequent marriages and how they all went so terribly wrong. So essentially, this film is about her second phase of life, which is the roof phase for any role model. 30 to 50 is when there's a more introspective time for role models where we are here to make sense out of all of the lessons that we learned and potentially pick up some new lessons on the way. And JLo seemed to be getting those lessons through these three marriages that she has, which she kind of rapid fire goes through in the film. And at the end of the day, her friends are all like telling her that she needs help, she needs therapy, she needs Love Addicts Anonymous. And then there's, of course, the monologue where she's basically saying, what is wrong with trying to find a partner in life? What is wrong with wanting love? Well, ultimately, nothing. There's nothing wrong with wanting love. And this is where I believe the bonding strategy for the sixth line comes in, because every profile comes with a bonding strategy. And in our case, it's soulmate or not. And the reason for this bonding strategy is because as somebody who spends a lot of their life cycle on the roof, we are always looking down at the rest of the world and seeing the bigger picture of life. So when we're dating someone, when we're together with somebody, we don't just see them as like Mr. Right now. We're looking to see, is this Mr. Right? Can this person fit into the big picture of my life or not? And in her case, I feel like a lot of these marriages that she went through were wishful thinking, trying to fill that void, trying to fill the gaps, trying to find love and direction where there was none. And unfortunately, this is something that a lot of us do. You don't have to be Jennifer Lopez. You don't have to have a wide split, and you don't even have to have an open G for that to be the case. I don't. So it's really about understanding that ultimately she's trying to show us that this doesn't work, right? She's trying to show us that filling that void doesn't work. So finally, she starts taking her therapy more seriously and going to these meetings. And I don't want to give too much of the story away, but she ends up doing some pretty deep inner child work. I kind of lost it at this point in the film. I was like full on ugly crying because she had such a beautiful way of showing how she realized that self-sourcing that love was the most important thing. And that's really what she comes to so that she can come full circle back to Ben Affleck. So let's take a look at his chart. So here's Ben Affleck. Of course, he has a defined G. It's very hooked up. In fact, lots of activations there. This is pretty common for anybody who has an open G to be dating somebody with a really hooked up G center. It's just what open Gs are naturally attracted to. Not to mention that Ben Affleck is a 5-1 profile, and he is being projected on by JLo as the hero and the savior. So that initial heartbreak was sort of twofold. It's not just that he broke up with her and broke her heart, he also fell from grace in a way. Whatever he did to cause that breakup, because according to her, he caused the breakup. In fact, it was depicted as a motorcycle crash. So it was really about her feeling that it all just fell apart and her heart broke. So let's take a look at them together. So this is 9-0, nowhere to go, very insulated relationship, lots of electromagnetics that are really juicy, most notably the channel of mating, this very intimate, very cozy, very emotional channel. And of course, when that gets sort of taken away from you as this quote unquote love addict, I can see how that would be really destabilizing for her. And that is one of the reasons why it was so difficult. Not to mention, I'm sure that a lot of different things were kind of falling away around the same time. That just tends to be the way that it happens in your Saturn return. And I've heard it described as, like trying to hold on to sand. The tighter you hang on, the more it falls through your fingers. So even though this was a really insulated relationship, potentially Ben was feeling more suffocated than comfortable. And that's why he left. He wasn't ready for that kind of commitment, and she might have been. And now that they're older, wiser, they've had families of their own, they have teenage children at this point. So they are really able to come back together and kind of forge a new path for themselves that isn't really based off of the traditional like homemaker status. All right, so what else can we learn from their relationship? Well, something that sticks out to me is the channel 2145, which JLo has. It's from the ego, the heart center, to the throat. And this is a very fierce tribal channel. There's 3 circuits in the human design body graph: tribal, collective, and individual. And the tribal circuitry is the most concerned with family, with the relationships. And like I say to people who have this channel, myself included, is we love really hard. We do. We're very protective of the people that we love. And it can come off as a little bit bossy and a little bit abrasive. When JLo is sitting in couples therapy with her various husbands in the film, they're all accusing her of treating them like staff or treating them like part of the furniture. And she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. This doesn't make any sense. This isn't working. Right? But I can totally see it because that fierceness can translate into coldness, whereas it's not cold at all. It's very warm, in fact, but it does make it extremely difficult to be vulnerable. It does. And so I can see how JLo is learning how to be a more vulnerable version of herself. Hopefully she can take that into her relationship with Ben and be a softer JLo. She was at the beginning of her career when they first met. I understand how much perseverance, how much work, how much demand was put on her in order for her to reach the heights that she has. And it might have been very difficult for her to then turn that off when she came home, which is why there's that interpretation of like, oh, you're just treating me like part of your work. Well, if you can't turn it off, then maybe. The other thing is when you look at Ben's chart, there's no tribal circuitry there. He has the 45, so they have that in common. She's got the whole channel. He has the gate. So there is some tribal aspects to him, but he is mostly an individual and collective person, and he's single definition. So relationships just might not be as important to him. Right? And we see that as like maybe part of the conditioning that men have versus women. Like we're the ones that find relationships to be super important and men don't. But I don't actually think that that's true, first of all. And second of all, it's just a different value system, right? We say that our value systems as a unit are the ones that really keep us together. But we're here to accept our partners for who they are and not try to change them to be more like us, even though that seems to be the knee-jerk reaction most of the time, because we believe that if we can change our partner to be more like us, that means they truly love us. And I actually heard a phrase the other day that really knocked my socks off. Somebody used the term validation vending machine, a coach named Kara Lowenthal, and I was just like, right? You might be thinking to yourself, like, you're JLo, why do you need validation from somewhere else? Well, as she points out in this film, if you don't know how to give love to yourself, then you're always at a deficit and you're always trying to get it from the outside. You're always trying to figure out how this other person can make you feel the love that you don't inherently feel within yourself. And so you make that their responsibility when it's not. I know. Seems a lot easier to just get it from the outside. But once that validation runs out, or once that validation isn't enough for you, like that's why they call them love addicts, right? Because you're addicted to the validation and that high that love gives you. But when you realize that you can get high on your own supply, when you can love yourself so much that you don't need other people's love or validation. And this is not to say that you end up being this like cold, lonely, whatever, like a spinster, crazy cat lady, whatever. That's actually the opposite of what ends up happening. Because when your love overflows for yourself, you suddenly have more to give to other people. You know, when I'm working with somebody on relational issues, I'm always like, are you someone that you would want to date? Are you kind? Are you generous? Are you capable of taking care of somebody else? And I don't mean like financially, I don't even mean like through gifts or acts of service or anything like that. Are you able to hold someone else's heart? Are you able to see when that person isn't doing anything to you, but you are being triggered by something that has nothing to do with them? Are you able to pause? Are you able to reflect? Are you able to apologize? You know, when you're feeling very greedy and insecure, apologizing is not something that you can do because everything in your relationship becomes about winning. And when that's all it's about, nobody wins. So it's really wonderful to see that JLo has come to some of these conclusions herself throughout these three marriages. You know, it only took three, right? Fourth time's a charm. I really do believe that she has a lot more tools in her tool belt. And as a role model who is now off the roof, she's able to navigate her relationship a lot more and potentially won't walk away at the first sign that it's difficult. Not that I think that she did that. I mean, she kind of oversimplified the three marriages in this movie, where I would have actually liked to see a little bit more of that. But overall, I felt it was really visually compelling. It was heartfelt. And basically, she made art out of her pain. And I feel like that's really what role models are here to do, right? Alchemize the hurt, alchemize those lessons into some beautiful wisdom that can be shared. And hopefully, somebody can look at this piece of art and get something from it for their own lives. I mean, that's essentially why I do this channel. I know this is not like a big artistic production or anything like that, but it is about me sharing what I've learned through all of these very painful lessons. If you guys think that everything went right in my love life, and that's why I'm here talking about love, that's absolutely not the case. And I don't believe that anybody who's called to be of service is doing so because everything went right. It's actually the opposite. It's because everything went terribly wrong. And now we have all of this data that we can share with you, all of this wisdom that we've gathered so that you don't necessarily have to make the same mistakes. You can make your own mistakes. You can make brand new ones. It'll be great. Anyway, I think that's a great place to wrap it up. I really enjoyed this film. It's on Amazon Prime. No, this is not an ad. I just really appreciated it. If you've seen it and want to throw something in the comments, I'd love to hear from you. If you have any questions about Ben, J-Lo, any of this, also would love to hear that. And if you have any other couples you want to nominate, I'm all ears. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here. I love you guys so much. I'll see you next time. Ciao for now.